Welcome back to my build of the Strike Freedom Gundam. I am still going to be working on the head, going to be finishing it up here. Now, unfortunately, as I was finishing with the last video, I made a mistake. I actually was applying some silver paint to the back of the head part, and because I had forgotten to dab my paint pen and get rid of any overflow when I put it against the part, it flowed very strongly, very heavily, and I ended up filling the area with an absolute pool of paint that I then spent about 20 minutes trying to clean up. I cut most of that out, but I do have the ending here for everyone to see. So moving on, I am actually taking care of clipping out the face plate, the front of the helmet section of the head. Again, I like the fact that the heads of the MG Gundam are not just a front, a back, and the part with the goatee. I like the fact that it's a bit more interesting than that, that it has a little bit more going on with it. So this front piece is not quite as large, it's not quite as full coverage, because it's allowing what was behind it to show as well. The other thing that's nice about the way it was designed is that if you choose to use the stickers, you're not trying to put the sticker into the sculpt and try and get it positioned just right. Instead, you're applying a sticker onto an area that will then be exposed through the primary helmet part, which works better, it looks better, and whatnot. For me, again, I used paint for that instead, but the same thing applies. You're not trying to paint inside a small area and hope you don't paint where you don't want to. Instead, you're able to paint freely and then simply put the part over it, and it has full coverage. It's you don't have to worry about whether there is overflow, and that was very, very nice. As always, when you are working on these, take your time and try and go slow. You don't want to go too fast and mess up the part that you're working on. So here I'm actually moving on to the crest itself, which of course is the finishing touch for the headpiece. The crest is composed of 3 pieces that I initially fit together before deciding that I wanted to go back and paint the bottom piece of the crest. So I actually ended up having to take it apart again. It was only loosely fit together. I do it a loose fit and then make sure it's tight. But I ended up taking it apart and then painting that bottom piece green, which to me really helped set it off and make it a little bit more obvious against the white helmet. So again, because the crest is small, when I painted it, I actually held it in my pliers, my needle nose pliers, and that allowed me to get enough grip on it while simultaneously keeping my fingers out of the way of the paint pen. The hardest part actually was turning the part around, which occasionally requires shifting my grip on the pliers themselves in order to get to a different angle on the part. So when I'm done with the paint pen itself, I took it over to where I had my wife's hairdryer plugged in, and I used the hairdryer to dry it out quickly. That takes roughly 10 to 20 seconds on each particular face of the part. So if you're doing one side, you're going to do 10 to 20 seconds, and then 10 to 20 seconds on the next side as well. Doing a little bit of touch up here before I get it done. As you can see, the majority of the part is dry, and I'm able to hold the crest in my fingers where it has already been painted instead of needing to hold it in the needle nose pliers. And finally, I am fitting all the parts together, putting the crest on the finished helmet. Oh, I'd forgotten to mention, I also painted the Eaglestellung cannons on the helmet. I paint the tips a little bit of silver. And finally, here is the completed part from 3 angles. Join me next time and we will get started on the arms.